Stage Ring.
Welcome to the Help Myself podcast. I am your host, John M. Singletary Sr., and I got to put that senior in there because I got a junior, aka LJ, aka my co-pilot, and he's not in the house today. He is at school getting some early morning recording done, but that's who I do it for, man. That's my heart right there. And so welcome to the most dangerous podcast in the land. I'm proud to say that because we are taking the power and putting the power back where it belongs, and that is in the hands of the people. And who are the people? Guess what? The people are you. So you deserve to know how powerful, how amazing you are, and that you have a passionate purpose, and whatever is preoccupying you and preventing you from getting to that. We're here to make sure that we clear out all of those obstacles, those boundaries, open up doors that need to be opened, give information, have interviews with amazing guests, and just keep you inspired to be the absolute best version of yourself, because why not? I believe it was Socrates that said, an unexamined and mediocre life is not worth living. And so I want to definitely encourage you to avoid mediocrity at all costs. You do not want to live a unexamined mediocre life. And so, when you talk about that, you talk about your purpose and you talk about your passion. What is an unexamined life? The way that we describe it here in current times is called being plugged into the matrix, being I don't want to say manipulated, but being controlled by a multiplicity of forces outside of your own power, having a voice that is being influenced and determined by a source outside of yourself. And I think to a certain extent, all of us are caught up, obviously current events, we discuss what's going on. The news is fed to us, and then we have an opportunity. And I think in that situation, there does need to be some grace. I think sometimes it can be a powerful, escape from the monotony of life to kind of get on our public spaces, social media, which is basically our public town hall now, and to give our opinions on the things that are going on and have dialogue and discourse about that. A lot of disagreement, sure, but I think it is also important to look at your life and decide, that what will your legacy be. And certainly legacy is better defined by the people who you impact while you're here, but you have a great responsibility and power over how you will impact the people. And that's one thing. Me as a very I'm sensitive. Sometimes we describe it as being an empath and in other ways, but I will definitely say that I'm very aware of the way people move in the world and their actions and the energy that they give off and the way that they make me and others feel. And that's something that I'm aware of, and I've been working on being more understanding of how my own energy reverberates out into society and it impacts the others that I come in contact with. It is always my intention to, bring positivity, pleasant experiences, but I do realize that sometimes I am not aware, and I've spoken on that before. Sometimes walking into places and not understanding how contagious your energy, your mood, and things are. So it's important when we talk about legacy, when we talk about our passions, when we talk about purpose. Um, I think when you talk about an unexamined life, when you go about life not recognizing the things that you do and things that you say and the way that you move about in life impacts people. And I think that's important for us to be aware of and cognizant of, is that we do have impacts on the people that we come in contact with, the people that, and I'll use an example. So let's say you went to a college and somebody went to a college and y'all were rivals and y'all have a friendly rivalry. I was about to say a rivalry, right? So you get on social media and y'all post back and forth towards each other, but you don't say, hey, this is specifically for so-and-so. You just put out, hey, your school sucks, right? But let's say you got like 2,500 friends. So that was directed at one person, but there's, thousands of other people that are seeing the things that you post and they're being impacted by it because you didn't take the time to directly say. And then, obviously the attitude, this is something I hear all the time. What's my page? I can do what I want with it. Absolutely. I'm speaking in terms of, if you are worried about the legacy and the impact that you're leaving and the impact you're having on other people, this is something that plays into that. So I used a very generic thing, but I think sometimes we feel like we're just yelling things off into the void and, not thinking about the fact that, there might be somebody who you directly wanted to address that to, but there could be people along the way that are being impacted negatively or positively by it. And so sometimes I think you get to the point where when you're really serious about your legacy, you have to be a little more thoughtful and examined and even more responsible about the way that, you present yourself and your ideas, because sometimes, I've said before, I've switched to other places because Facebook can be a very hurtful place. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it just amazes me sometimes how people just put stuff out there, but that's another discussion for another time. What I really want to take a look at here is being powered by your purpose. And speaking of being powered by your purpose, really, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to talk about my soon to be released second book, Powered by Purpose. So let's watch a clip that definitely garnered me a lot of attention across all of my social spaces.
Yeah. They sleep on you. Yeah. I know. Yeah. They slept on me too. Yeah. But it's all right. Yeah. They'll wake up soon. Yeah.
And that's the book. Listen, it's coming out soon. As a matter of fact, we're working here in the next week to get the link for pre-order so you can pre-order an autographed copy. So I'll be getting that link out. And here is a very shameless plug. If you are not following me on my socials, please take the time to follow me on YouTube. That is the Help Myself Podcast Network on YouTube. On Facebook, which many of you are watching this right now, John Singletary on Facebook, but you can also follow the page and the podcast, which is the Help Myself Podcast Network. And then you can also follow us on Instagram. Instagram is at John M. Singletary, all one word. And you see how it's spelled right here at the bottom of the screen, spelled just like that, but with no periods, no dots, no spaces. At John M. Singletary, that's my personal. And then you can follow the podcast at Help Myself Podcast, at Help Myself Podcast on IG. So get plugged in. You can go to the website, which is where the link for pre-order will be, which is www.thehelpmyselfpodcast.com. And I'm going to make sure to scroll that information at the bottom of the page. But that's where the information for pre-order links, when the drop will be, where you can get it, and all of that. So, this time I went the route. It's going to be available on my website direct for order, but it'll also be available through Amazon. And then we're looking at some other sources for it to be available to you. So we want to get this out. We want to make this big. I truly believe that this book, not just be proud for it to be my second book, but also proud of the message and the opportunity within the book. There'll be quotes and my thoughts on each quote, original quotes that were gathered. I give you a little background. During the pandemic, when there was a lot of uncertainty and, we were quarantined, and while, I was a senior enlisted leader of my organization, I would send out a weekly email just checking the temperature, encouraging all of the people on the floor, the people, because we were in a very, y'all know, we all went through it together. So I wanted to take that opportunity to unify us, to encourage us, to disseminate information so that nobody felt left out of the loop and out of the circle. And a bunch of my troops got together and they took their favorite quotes out of my emails that I sent during that year, and they compiled them into a book. And it's amazing. I got this leather bound book that they created for me, and it's a beautiful coffee table item, and I was looking at it and I was like, yo, this is really good. Like, this could be a book. So I compiled those quotes from the book. And then as we started going through the process, it was like, hey, how about, this really feels like a workbook, and you can kind of give some background on what was going on, why I made the quotes that I made, and kind of give some background and kind of give some more information and kind of, build that out a little bit, and then put points in to ask pointed questions, statements, and just to kind of direct the reader to reflect on their personal life and how, that quote or, that saying might have affected them. So I am really excited about this. I've got some more books in me, so I'm excited about that. But what I'm excited about is that I believe that this is going to be a positive addition for people that are really, wanting to examine their life and push into their purpose and their passions and live a life that is filled with more power. I really believe that this will be an important and powerful tool for your toolbox, a positive addition to our society. And, I believe it'll really point people to tools and resources so that they can really examine who they want to be and how they want to live their lives with more purpose and intention. So I'm excited about all of that. I think it's going to have a great impact. And that's one of the things that I talk about is, we live like we've got unlimited time. I'm guilty of it. We live like there's an unlimited tomorrows, but man, tragedy strikes all the time. And listen, sometimes we're planning for next week, and next week is not going to come for all of us. Some of us will transition on. And so it's important to make your impact, to make what your life is about, make it known, to leave a legacy for your family, for your children, all of these things. It's important. So that unexamined life, if you want to live a life that's powered by purpose, it's the first thing it's got to be is intentional. Purpose and passion and positive legacy, they do not happen by accident or by chance. You don't just fall backwards into it. You've got to be intentional. One of the things about intentionality is that intentionality always requires a sacrifice of some sort. if I am going to be intentional about spending time meditating and writing and journaling and doing shadow work and making myself more cognizant of who I am, what I'm passionate about, what I'm going through, my strengths and weaknesses, then that means that I do have to sacrifice some of the time that I might spend watching TV, or some of the time I might spend scrolling through social media, or some of the time that I might spend just doing some other activity that does not directly contribute to that. It requires sacrifice. If I want to have a healthier body, that's going to require the sacrifice of my time to be active. It's going to require the sacrifice of eating junk foods that I like, that are filled with all kind of stuff that make us addicted to them, and eat healthier foods, and less fast food and more home cooked meals and prepared, and things like that. Drinking more water. It's going to cause a sacrifice. If I want to be financially better, there's a lot of frivolous spending that I have to cut out. And there's a lot of research that I need to do about great investment vehicles that will allow me to grow my money instead of just hiding it somewhere. So whenever you talk about intentionality, sacrifice should be built into intentionality, because you can't be intentional about something and then spend an inordinate amount of time being unintentional about something else. So intentionality breeds more intentionality. So we've got to be intentional. We've got to understand sacrifice. But not only do we have to understand sacrifice, but you're going to have to become a long-term thinker. Being intentional about changing a trajectory or changing something that will be a lasting legacy, it takes more than just one good day of working on it. There's got to be some consistency there. You've got to show up time after time after time. And one of the things about consistency is that you've got to decide that you are going to be consistent no matter what the fanfare is. And I'll tell you, I've been, this is season 3 of the podcast. We've gotten past our 100th episode. And there were times when I would look at the numbers and I would think, oh man, this isn't doing all of this, that, and the third. But then I started to notice, just with consistency and looking back over it, as it would be discovered and rediscovered. And, as people watched, and as we started expanding the platforms and just continuing to build that positive momentum, I want to thank all of you, because with Facebook and YouTube views, we're averaging 200 to 250 views per episode. And then you start to spin. We're rapidly heading towards 10,000 unique downloads for the audio podcast. So I'm proud of those, but it didn't happen overnight. We never went viral or anything like that. Man, it's just hustle and grind. And, I think about the Monday Morning Mind Hack that we produce every Monday and have done consistently every Monday without missing one for over 3 years. Started that in 2019. And every Monday since we started back in July of 2019, there has been a Monday Morning Mind Hack delivered through social every Monday. And sometimes you get 100 likes, especially if I put a picture of LJ on it. I know the cheat code, but sometimes you get 5 likes. And being consistent in saying, hey, not only is it, about did I write something good enough, but what am I becoming as I consistently do this, as I consistently put this out in the universe? And so I make this joke all the time. One day I'm going to become an overnight success, but it's not going to happen overnight. You're going to look and there's going to be a long resume of success behind it. And I think about that, and here's another point. I'll share this real quick. And then I just wanted to close. I'm excited about the book coming out, and I thank all of you in advance for your support, man. Please keep sharing, hitting that like button. telling your friends and family about it. Again, it'll be available here soon for pre-order for a autographed copy. So that'll be coming directly from me, but it'll also be available on Amazon. And once I get the list, it'll be available at several other retailers. So, we want to make sure that we get this out to as many people as possible. Obviously, every copy that you buy of my book will contribute to feeding a hungry child. And that hungry child is my son, John M. Singletary Jr., LJ. I had to get that joke in there. But I really believe that the book will be a value add. I believe that lives will be enriched, encouraged, and empowered through the words and the workbook portion of the book. So I'm excited about that. But I'm telling these bad dad jokes and getting all off of the but one of the things that I want to just drop in there for free, I think it's important for you to be consistent, to be intentional, but also to recognize your resume. When I look back on my resume, 23 years of military service, high level senior leadership, over 26 years of public speaking. I've been a mentor. I've been, a coach and all of these things for decades. And when it comes to that, I believe a lot of times I just want to utilize my skill set to help people. And I don't think about the fact that, I've got an impressive resume. And one of the things that I think is important when you talk about coaching, mentoring, consulting, or getting a subject matter expert, we call them a SME, whenever you get them in the room or you're doing something in that arena, it is very important to be mindful of the fact that the person that is presenting or doing or whatever is someone that can get you the results that you are looking for. And so often, we have people that get in these arenas, but they don't have the track record of success. And so I think sometimes you just need to look at all that you've accomplished and recognize that you put together a very phenomenal resume of success. And that's something that I have to do for myself, is to look at it as that, I put together a resume of success. I didn't just show up and just want to do this. I've been working and grind. I've been in the lab, making things better. So Powered by Purpose coming out soon. And I just want to leave you with this excerpt, this thought from the book that I'm very proud of. And simply it just says, when we order an item or something and the service or the product doesn't live up to our standards, we're quick to complain. We will ask to speak to a manager or we'll want to talk to customer service. And then we want the issue taken care of immediately, or we'll want a refund. So, if we're using our precious resources, our money, it's normal to expect a level of service and accountability, because the most precious resource we have is our life and the time that's contained within it. So are we keeping our service commitments to ourselves? When we promise to do something for ourselves and we don't do it, do we hold ourselves accountable with the same energy that we use towards vendors? When you said this is going to be your year and on the last day of that year, you didn't come through, is there any consequence to that? Or do you just keep forgiving yourself because it's you? Do I keep forgiving myself because it's me? Do we take it easy on the lack of action because life is hard? And it very well is. We mean well, but most of us, we pretend as if we're not capable, and then we beat ourselves up for lack of ability, but don't do that, because we all have the ability we need. Sometimes we just have to cultivate it, but we have to stop beating ourselves up and start keeping the promises to ourselves. If waking up at 5 a.m. is the promise, then keep it. It doesn't matter if you went to bed late the night before. Keep the promise to yourself by getting up at 5 a.m. the way you promised that you would. Breaking your promise to yourself should not be acceptable. Is the promise taking on new tasks, creating time in your schedule, getting help, or just getting started? If so, then do it. It does not have to be perfect, but just do it. It's not going to be easy, but push forward anyhow. Stop adjusting in the moment and adjust to the fact. Let me explain. Listen, you promised yourself when you set the alarm. So get up. Your time will be better. And if not the next day, after a few days, you'll find a way to get to sleep early. And as this expands the scope of how much you challenge yourself, you get caught up. You can get up earlier. You can get more done. You can eliminate all the useless time eaters and all of the things that make you unsuccessful in your endeavors. You can get healthier. You can plan your day better. You can accomplish more goals, and you can wake up with a life substantially more amazing than you could have imagined. Of all the resources you need to be powered by purpose, the most important is to conquer yourself, to keep the promises that you're making to yourself. Once you conquer you, there's nothing in the world that can stand in your way. So this one's for you. I'm excited about our journey into a powerful purpose. We got this. So I'll close like I always do. Listen, I can't help myself. I've got to inspire. I've got to encourage. I got to empower. But I can help myself by being the absolute best version of myself. And guess what? You can too. So why not we do it together?